In Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi of the Broad Front and Álvaro Delgado of the National Party will go to runoff for the presidential election on November 24th. In Egypt, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi proposed on Sunday a two-day ceasefire in the Gaza Strip in exchange for the release of 4 Israeli prisoners and some Palestinian prisoners. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has urgently called for strict controls to prevent arms shipments to Haiti. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. In Uruguay, with 99.92% of the votes counted, established that Yamandu Orsi of the Broad Front and Álvaro Delgado of the National Party will go to the runoff for the presidential election on November 24th. The Broad Front coalition registered so far 43.9% of the votes, and the National Party as did the Colorado Party, which dropped to 16% of its favored ballots. With these numbers, the Broad Front and the National Party will reorganize their strategies. As from this Monday, regarding the popular consultation, 39.1% of the voters voted in favor of Social Security and 39.4% voted in favor of establishing night rates, so that neither of the consultations reached the number necessary for its approval.
Our party, Broad Front, in this concert of parties, is once again the most voted party in Uruguay. We are the party that grew the most in this election. A campaign at times becomes long, and many perhaps get tired, or we get tired of walking and walking.
Y muchos quizás se cansen o nos cansemos de recorrer y andar. Pero vale la pena, compañeras y compañeros. Vale la pena.
But it is worth it, comrades. It is worth it, Uruguayans. Let's go in these 27 days for this last effort with more desire than ever. More desire than ever, comrades.
The presidential candidate for the right-wing National Party, Álvaro Delgado, assured that his party will start campaigning for the presidential runoff with a new approach.
Today we are starting another stage, a different one, but we are starting a stage with a different approach. Look, the ballot boxes have spoken. Uruguay has expressed itself in democracy and freedom. And tonight Uruguay said that the coalition is the most voted political project in our country.
And in Chile, the second and last election day was marked by the vote of former Mayor Daniel Jadue, finally authorized by the court to be released from house arrest. Let's see.
He is sitting at a desk, and although he is still in school, this time he had to be a voting officer at the age of 18. That's why he brings a ball, to play in the free time he thought he would have. But these elections give no truce. There are a lot of votes to count and verify. Like him, his young table mates are also responsible for this electoral act in Chile. It is their first time participating, and they face two fierce proxies of political parties that supervise every movement. It is what they must do, even if others are kinder than them, like Don Fernando. At 84 years of age, although he is there to defend the votes of his coalition, his civic spirit is to defend democracy.
We guarantee that in the election we verify that the vote corresponds, that it is signed correctly, and that it reflects the will of the person who voted, and if there is any conversation necessary to clarify something, we leave it to what the law indicates and we follow the procedures of the law.
If the preference marked is not clear, the debate will begin, and it is almost always the null votes that are the most discussed, because if a scratch marks an option, the most passionate proxies will try to add it to their candidate. This will not be the case of Constanza. She made sure to nullify her ballot without any doubt.
I stopped voting because it was not mandatory, and once it was mandatory again, I came back to vote. I don't think anything can happen. I have no hope that this will change. The truth is that I want to go and live in the countryside, far away from everything.
But there, in the countryside, she will also have to vote. In Chile, suffrage is obligatory under threat of a fine. And while Constanza is looking for ways to avoid it, there are others who, even in provisional detention, are looking for ways to vote. There are so many politicians and celebrities imprisoned in Chile today that this was another of the issues that marked the day. The former reality girl and former mayor of Maipú, house arrest for embezzlement, had legal permission but did not go.
I am making this video because I find it incomprehensible that the media and the press are once again at my doorstep announcing a news that does not exist. I could not go to vote at the authorized time.
Daniel Jadu, the former communist mayor investigated for the unpublished popular pharmacies in Chile, had no problem receiving the press at the door of his house, where he is being held in preventive custody. In fact, his arrival at the precinct was accompanied by hundreds of supporters who condemned his persecution and celebrated his attendance to vote.
It is important to highlight the fact that someone from the Third Guarantee Court has corrected the arbitrariness of Judge Munoz, who, after 5 days, tried to prevent me from exercising a constitutional right such as the right to vote.
A long day that extends with a slow count for the positions of mayor, regional councilors, councilmen, and governors, marking the public interest in the positions that will administer the capital and the most important cities of the country.
It is the citizens who do the weighing when it comes to making choices. Their voice is the one that matters on a day like today, not the predictions that we, the authorities and analysts, can make.
It will be necessary to see which political coalitions are the most punished in the midst of the apathy that forces citizens to this minimal democratic participation. Mark with a pencil.
And next November 5th, the United States will celebrate its presidential elections. Let's review some facts of what will possibly be the most curious elections in the history of the country.
This year we witnessed the shortest and longest election race of all time at the same time. Kamala Harris, candidate for the Democratic Party, had only 107 days of campaigning because the current president and former Democratic Party candidate, Joe Biden, decided to withdraw from the race with just under 4 months to go before the election. From another point of view, this was also the longest campaign since Donald Trump, the Republican Party's candidate, began his campaign for this year's elections on the same day he lost the previous election.
Thank you, New York. God bless you. God bless you all.
All this left a situation in which Kamala Harris became the first black woman in history to be a presidential candidate, without even running in the primaries. And Trump, the oldest candidate of all time, won the Republican primaries without participating in a single debate. Unprecedented in modern times.
Assuming that's true, how stupid are you to put out a report like that?
In addition, during the presidential election campaign, Trump suffered 2 assassination attempts. This was unprecedented in history. Although only the first was actually an assassination attempt, and the second was only a preparation in the legal sense. In Trump's case, it is also striking that this is his 3rd run for the presidency, something unheard of since the death of President Roosevelt in 1945. On top of all this, Trump is the first presidential candidate in history to have been the organizer of an attempted coup d'état and instigator of an armed rebellion in the country, for which he has criminal proceedings open against him.
Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual.
Finally, an unprecedented number of high-ranking politicians and former politicians campaigned against candidates of their own party, in addition to a large majority having spoken out against Trump's election or openly supported Harris. This year will definitely be one of the most controversial, curious, and close elections in the history of the United States.
Is truly in your hands. The path to victory.
Japan's ruling party failed to win a majority of parliamentary votes in on Sunday's early elections. For the first time since 2009, the Liberal Democratic Party, hit by corruption scandals, failed to win in the general elections, dealing a blow to the new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. The head of government said that voters have expressed their strong desire for the Liberal Democratic Party to reflect and act in accordance with the will of the people. The results confirm that citizens are disillusioned by the high cost of living in Japan and the political scandals that helped oust the previous Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Egypt, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi proposed on Sunday a two-day ceasefire in the Gaza Strip in exchange for the release of 4 Israeli prisoners and some Palestinian prisoners. In this sense, if the Israeli and Palestinian sides were to accept the agreement, in addition to the exchange of prisoners, this would allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. Moreover, according to the Egyptian leader, talks will be held within 10 days to implement a temporary ceasefire with a view to laying the groundwork for a definite truce. El-Sisi also reiterated Egypt's firm opposition to the forced displacement of Palestinians out of Gaza. In Palestine, dozens of students and teachers died after being asphyxiated by an Israeli tear gas attack in the occupied southern West Bank. According to reports, the Zionist attack targeted a school in the town of Hebron while school activities were in progress. The staff of the institution detailed that they had to evacuate the entire school community through alternate routes to ensure their safety. In this context, the secretary of the Fatah movement asserted that Israeli forces fired toxic gas canisters into the school, causing dozens of students and teachers to suffocate. Bassam Sabag, Syrian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, informed the Secretary General of the United Nations on Sunday the exact number of attacks that his territory has received from the Israeli occupation. Since October 7, 2023, 116 bombings have been registered, this according with a diplomat who also said that Israel, with more sophisticated weapons, many provided by the United States, attacked innocent civilians, including women, children, and the elderly. It also attacked diplomatic headquarters and border crossings. The latter have aggravated the humanitarian crisis since they prevent the entry of supplies and prevent the victims from taking refuge in a safe place. And in Israel, left-wing activists rallied outside the Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv to protest against the wars in Gaza and Lebanon. The demonstration comes at a critical juncture as Israel intensifies its military operations in both regions and also coinciding with Israel's recent airstrikes on Iran, which have heightened tensions in the region. The activists are voicing their opposition to the broader conflict, which has drawn in multiple regional actors and raised concerns about the potential for a wider regional war. Protests reflect growing domestic unease over the ongoing military engagements and their humanitarian and geopolitical implications.
I came to express my disgust at what Israel is doing. It's just spreading murder and killing and disaster all over the Middle East. There's no plan. Every day, so many people are dying just for the sake of revenge and land grab and who knows what. I just came to say enough. It's impossible to stand behind this thing. We have to say it's not right to do it, and we have to protest against it.
We are here, over 100 Israelis, protesting against the ongoing genocide that is happening in the Gaza Strip. We are saying that we need to stop this right now and reach a peaceful solution that will bring security both to the Israelis and the Palestinians. To bring security, we need to stop the genocide.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Found short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has urgently called for strict controls to prevent arms shipments to Haiti. The most recent report of the United Nations mission in the South American nation revealed that every day, on average, 13 people are murdered. In the most violent year that this country is going through in terms of citizens' security, from January 2024 to October, more than 3,450 people have been murdered due to criminality. The UN High Office assures that the arms that contribute to these rates of violence come mainly from the United States, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. In Bolivia, Senate President Andrónico Rodriguez petitioned the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to grant protection measures for former President Evo Morales. Rodriguez proposed the creation of an interdisciplinary group of independent experts that can objectively investigate the incidents that occurred this Sunday in Cochabamba. The president of the legislative body also considers prudent the presence of an observation mission of the United Nations. The call comes after the former president was the victim of an attack while traveling on a vehicle. The president of the plurinational state, Luis Arce, condemned the attack and requested an exhaustive investigation. Caracas hosts the 5th chapter of the Viva Venezuela Mi Patria Querida festival with the band Serenata Guayanesa as the main musical attraction. Let's see more in the following report.
The Aquiles Nazoa Cultural Center was the stage for the Viva Venezuela festival, which featured the Serenata Guayanesa Quartet and paid tribute to the states of Amazonas, Bolívar, and Delta Amacuro.
I came to see Serenata Guayanesa, which is a very old and important group, with their usual songs, like the one that says, La noche se muestra hermosa y rebosa de alegría. We sang that one yesterday. The song is wonderful, just like all the songs they sing.
Well, Serenata Guayanesa has been working for more than 50 years, promotes and disseminates Venezuelan music, and of course, it is very important to have this type of events for greater diffusion and for people to enjoy.
The 2 days were full of color and joy. In addition to the music, the entrepreneurs were able to offer their products, as is the case of the network of gastronomic cultures of Guarenas, Guatire, Araira.
We make all kinds of Creole desserts, trying to rescue everything that has been lost, desserts that many people no longer know. We make desserts such as stuffed turkey and coconut preserves.
I have my profession, and then in my work I distributed my desserts. I have always sold my desserts since I learned to make them. Everywhere I have worked I have sold them, and now friends and people ask me, and I sell them here, in the cultural center.
The festival, which has already registered 214 artists from Venezuela, will continue its artistic program with chapters dedicated to the plains and the Andes.
We are very proud of this festival that is touring the country, doing a beautiful job to make visible, recognize, and dignify the culture and our artists. The invitation is for us to go to the activities that the Ministry of Popular Power for Culture organizes for everyone, for the enjoyment of the family.
The festival is part of the great mission Viva Venezuela Mi Patria Querida, and it is a space that aims to promote music, song, rhythm, and popular dance, as well as to rescue, preserve, and disseminate traditional values.
Osvaldo Sayas, TeleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.